hybrid working models, allowing office people to work from wherever they need to work, right, is really important. If they don't need to be in the office and can still get their job done, how do you balance that with still knowing sometimes we need to be together. We need to have time together, but it's not necessary.
Which means the frontline officers.
Yeah.
How you train or you provide special training for those people to satisfy your clients? Because without high customer satisfaction level, you cannot be able to stay in the market.
Correct.
Or be more competitive. Welcome to Leaders Unleashed, the podcast that takes you behind the scene, the most successful and inspiring leaders in the world. Today we have a special guest from the United States. Lauren, could you please just introduce yourself?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so my name is Lahcen KRAEMER. I'm currently the Vice President of Operational Innovation at Hisho Sushi. I've been with Hisho now about 5 years. And prior to my work at Hisho, I worked for a bun and bakery manufacturing company in the U.S. They made the buns and the English muffins for McDonald's. They had 5 different manufacturing bakeries. And at that organization, I did HR. So I was in charge of HR for their bakeries. Prior to that, I spent 7 years with Krispy Kreme Donuts. I started there as a manager trainee right out of college, out of university, working in the retail space, running the drive-through, and then worked my way up to operation services for their international department. So when I left Krispy Kreme, I was working in their international department and was able to help open Krispy Kreme in 8 countries across the world. And prior to that, I went to university. So in university, I went to High Point University here in the U.S. in High Point, North Carolina. I studied recreation training and fitness, which does not really lend itself or does not really, usually somebody that studies that doesn't typically go into food service or food. But I started my career in food and have continued it throughout different kinds of food in the U.S. So from franchising domestically, internationally, as well as manufacturing. So had quite a career throughout that. It's been about, 15 years now that I've been working in the food industry. But I started just as a restaurant manager, right out of college, needed a job. And I was determined that no matter what I got into, I was going to work my way up. And so I can start at the bottom. That's okay, because I always knew that I would work really hard to get to where I wanted to be ultimately, which I do believe I have the best job in the world today. I work with a really amazing team for a really amazing organization. Hisho is the second largest sushi company in the United States. We have over 2,300 locations. Right. And so we operate as a franchise model and give the opportunity to anyone in the U.S. to become their own business owner and to have their own business within a grocery store, college, university, or other type of organization that might need sushi.
Great. My question is, what about, that in America, there's a huge market in the food industry. So there is a lot of challenges. And regarding to those challenges, also, we see that around the world, most of the American brands for food are famous in any area of the world. How you can explain me why the American brands, the success, especially in the food industry? Maybe most of them, they are successful brands around the world more than in America, because even in the United States, there's special challenges, special things. Yeah. Just explain to me which strategies and tactics that the food industry in the United States, they follow it. Just
so how does that happen, right?
To be successful in other areas around the world.
Yeah. So my experience specifically has been with Krispy Kreme as it relates to international, right? And so at the time, Krispy Kreme was in 20 countries. By the time I left, I think we were in about 28 different countries. So what I learned very quickly was, as I traveled to different countries and different continents, was that you're right. American brands are everywhere, right? I opened a Krispy Kreme right by Red Square in Russia, right? Like, who would have thought that right by the Kremlin on Red Square is going to be a Krispy Kreme? And so in my mind, I'm thinking, why are they putting American brands in these historic places? And I think what American food and beverage has done, especially in the fast food world, they've created branding and marketing that is so appealing to consumers, right? They've put their branding into pop culture, into the zeitgeist of what's going on. It's in movies, it's in TV. And so when people internationally are seeing representations of America through movies, TV, TikTok, whatever that thing is, those brands have done a really good job integrating into that, becoming part of the culture that is America. And so they brought the brand to a lot of countries. But what makes them successful, I think, and this is just my opinion, is their ability to tap into the culture in which they go into. So you'll see that McDonald's, KFC, Krispy Kreme, they have different products in every country that do not typically look like what it looks like in America. Personally, I think a lot of the times it's way better. Internationally, the food quality, it's so much better. The different taste profiles are more unique and flavorful. So when a food restaurant has been successful there, the branding is what's selling it, right? What it is, what it looks like, how it makes you feel. But the food itself does have to still meet the taste profiles in which those people are used to. So when we went to Asia with Krispy Kreme, we learned that really sweet glaze is too sweet. It's just too sweet, right? So we had to change the way we thought about the recipes for those products. The foundation's still there. The core product is still there. But it's just going to take on a different life that is going to be more appealing to someone who has a palate in Southeast Asia, right? That is when I think those brands have become really successful, is they get really good locations, they get really good branding, and their marketing teams come in to get as many people excited about it as possible. And then the way they continue that success is by innovating as they need to for the culture itself that they're operating within.
Right. I think that the quality of the products, it's not enough to be success in the market. One of the most challenging things that we faced in the food industry or any business, it is people who meet your clients, which mean the frontline officers.
Yeah.
How you train or you provide special training for those people to satisfy your clients? Because without high customer satisfaction level, you cannot be able to stay in the market or be more competitive.
Yeah, and I think that's in every industry, right? Whether it's food, whether it's retail, you could be a hotel, right? If your staff, the people that you employ that are interacting with your customers every day, are not doing it at a level that you would do it yourself, right, as the owner or the leader of the company, then you have problems, right? So I think if I think back to my first years in Krispy Kreme as a restaurant manager, right, I was managing hourly employees. So those people had graduated high school or whatever that may be, and they were looking for a job. And so they took this maybe as a summer job, right? Not something they're going to make a career, but I need them to care about it as much as they would care about if it was their career, right? I need them to care about the customers. And so how I did that personally was by showing them how much I cared about them, right? So how do I get to know those people on a level? Or if it's a really big organization, I might not know all 100 people that work there. But that next level of management and leadership that I have, it's really important for me to instill in them all the things that they would need to continue that forward. And so that's treating people with respect. That's getting to know them. For us in the US, something that I used to do is try to learn the schedule of people, like what they like to do. So if I had someone who I knew liked to go to church on Sunday mornings, right? We're open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. But if I knew that one person really liked to go to church on Sunday mornings and somebody else really liked to go party on Saturday night, I will make sure that I schedule them in a way that allows them to do the thing they want to do, which sounds really simple, right? But as a manager, it takes more work. It takes more work for me to know what you care about, so that as I'm planning a schedule, a lot of people have, for schedules, a computer program. You put everybody in, you put their availability, boop, boop, boop. It gives you exactly what your schedule should be. But they don't know people, right? They don't know that somebody's son is graduating from first grade this week. I might know that. So I might just give them that morning off because I can and because I'm going to think about them, so that hopefully those little investments in their quality of life, those little investments in what they care about, what they love, translates into the work they produce for me. Even if it's just saying, what kind of donut do you want? Have a great day. They're not doing, brain surgery. But they are making people feel either good or bad, or, some people come into Krispy Kreme, they came in looking for a treat, right? Sometimes that's because you're celebrating. Sometimes that's because you're really sad and you just need something to pick you up. You never know what they're coming in for. And I think as a manager, the same thing goes for your employees, right? Making sure that you understand what they need from you as a boss is really, really important, because that then helps them give to the people that they have. So I would say that, it's really about getting to know them and being able to do the little things that will allow them to have a better life.
So I see that the customer satisfaction process inputs are the employee satisfaction.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why when I read your company vision, it is more focusing about satisfying your employees.
Yes.
Because you believe that if we satisfy our employees, we'll be able to translate it to our clients.
Yeah, I think so.
This is a challenge, but you can just explain especially your company vision statement, how it was.
I think for today at He Show, right, we're not necessarily international, but a lot of our employees are international. So a lot of our employees that work for us grew up not in the U.S., right? English is their second language, or they weren't formally educated here in a lot of ways. So the same thing goes for understanding what they may need. So if they need to travel home, understanding that traveling home is not, for me, driving 5 hours home, right? It's flying across the world. And so allotting more time for vacation or allowing them to work from home. Today, after, post-COVID and everything that's going on in the world, hybrid working models, allowing office people to work from wherever they need to work, right, is really important. If they don't need to be in the office and can still get their job done, how do you balance that with still knowing sometimes we need to be together. We need to have time together, but it's not necessary.
This is one of the very challenging. This is not easy because, you are leading people remotely.
Correct.
So you have a new model with dealing with your team members. So I see that you have people who are working remotely from home. So how
do we do it?
Could you please just explain us more about this virtual leadership or remotely?
Yeah, we're learning as we go, right? So I will not say that we're perfect or we've got it all the way figured out. But something that we did personally in my department, have about 10 people that report to me, all in different departments. They all do very different things at our organization. But what we started doing when COVID happened was we would do a morning meeting. And so we did it every morning, all came together. It might be 5 minutes, right? But as a leader, I knew that once the day started, I would start getting emails from other departments, other people needing things from me. And I wanted to make sure that I was giving my team my time every day designated. That if they needed something from me, I hadn't answered an email or something they were trying to get done, they needed my help to break down a barrier or to make sure they had what they needed, they would have time in the morning to say, Lauren, me first, right? I work for you, I need this, so that I can give them what they need. So they're not sitting at home waiting for me, right? To tell them. So that's something we started 3 years into it, we now do it twice a week. So on Mondays and Wednesdays, before the day starts, we're going to have that meeting. People come. Sometimes it's, hey, how was your weekend? Good. Anything? No. Bye. But other times it's, oh, we have this person starting, or we need this thing, or I sent an email to so-and-so. They never responded. Could you help me out? I think for me, success in working virtually or in this hybrid model is keeping lines of communication open, but also as the boss, right, the person at the top, giving my team the security to know when the next time they will have an opportunity to talk to me is, right? So if I said I do a one-on-one once a month, they can't wait a month to talk to me, right? So if I'm in that Monday morning meeting and someone on my team says, yeah, I actually really needed to grab 30 minutes with you when you have time, we now can do that. It's not an email back and forth. It's not trying to figure it out. I, at that time, know prioritize this, because if I prioritize them, they're going to prioritize those around them. And so for us, I think lines of communication, set designated times for actual meetings, and then I think clear and effective communication. So understanding that sometimes things that you think everyone should know, they don't necessarily know. In a meeting room, people will just kind of off the hand say something, right? They'll fill in the gaps. Virtually, that doesn't happen because I'm waiting for you to stop talking, then I will start talking. It's not like you're at a discussion table. So making sure that there's opportunity to still have discussion or to be very clear in your communication, I think is really important too.
We know that there is different types of leadership. Do you think that sometimes you should be autocratic?
Be autocratic?
Be autocratic leader with your team members in case of that you have emergency. You don't have a time to provide them the opportunities to suggest or propose.
Mm-hmm. I typically am not ever. I think now the way in which I communicate things to my team might feel that way, right? Might feel like I'm telling them what to do and how to do it, but it's my opinion, and they know that. And so I think my team, it's taken a while for them to learn I would like to be challenged, right? So I may say, we're doing this way, but I know I'm not always right. I'm not always right. Even in a rush, I'm not right. That's actually when I'll probably make the most mistakes. So I think in that scenario, my team knowing the way in which to communicate effectively to me is important. So I may come in, okay, we're going to this. We don't have time to discuss it. Go for it. If I say something that's a problem or that is wrong, and that I need them to know, even if I come in autocratic, that they should still come to me and say, hey, hold on. If you do that, this will break. If you do that, this is going to be a problem. So I think at no point do I ever want anyone on my team not to feel comfortable providing me feedback or suggestions, no matter how much of a rush we're in.
You have any advices for the new entrepreneurs who would like to invest in the franchising model? Especially our podcast is for the people from Africa world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say start where you are. So let's say you're not an entrepreneur yet. You're just somebody's employee. Treat that business like it's yours. Work like the money you're making. If you work harder, it's going to make more, even if you're not. Because it's going to give you that feeling of what it feels like to own a business. And you can see the problems right away, right? You can see what maybe that business owner's doing wrong. But when you take ownership of whatever, I don't own Hisho Sushi, right? But I treat this like it's my business. Like if we go under, I go under. When in reality, I'll go get another job somewhere, right? It's not my company. I can't treat it that way. I can't treat it like it's just this thing I do. It has to be part of, I have to feel that ownership. And then I think when you do eventually go out on your own, you should pull from the experiences you've had. So if you've never worked in a company before, it's probably a good idea to start there, right? Don't start a business because I want to be my own boss. Like, okay, well, have you had a boss before? It's probably a good idea, even if it's a bad one. At least you see what you might need to change, right? I didn't like that. I do like that. You can bring that into your company versus sometimes people say, oh, I'm really good at making bracelets. I'm going to start a bracelet company. but they never have worked for a company or been in a company. So it's really difficult. So I think gaining experience, especially while you're young, in all different types of industries and work. I love jobs. In college, I had 7 jobs. I did group exercise. I worked at a concierge desk. I worked at a church nursery. I gave tours of the university, all different, while I was in school, right? They were hourly. I didn't make a lot of money, but I had 7 different bosses. I had 7 different experiences to see how did someone set my schedule? Did they care about me having an exam so they gave me different days off? All of that then I could put into my work, right? I can put into when I am now a leader. I also think if you're going to be an entrepreneur, asking questions to other entrepreneurs is really important, getting to learn from them. And it doesn't always have to be an entrepreneur as much as you can ask somebody in a company, because every person in a company is working for an entrepreneur of some sort. Somebody started that company. And so having experience and gaining knowledge, I think, is really important. And understanding business. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, and let's say you make very beautiful bracelets, right? But you know nothing about business. You don't know about finance. You're terrible at math. You're not good at budgeting your own personal finances. Don't start a business, right? You're not great at marketing. You're great at making them, but you hate talking to people. That's probably not the... You need to have experience in all the different areas in which your business will operate, even if you don't like it. Because as the owner, especially when you're getting started, you're the backup. If your marketing person leaves, you're not marketing and you can't make your bracelets because you need to sell your bracelets. And so getting exposure and experience in as many facets of business as possible, especially the ones you're bad at, is really important. The more time you can spend just seeing it. I don't mean I'm very mediocre at math. I'm never going to be great at math, but I will understand our numbers. Right? I will learn how to read a P&L. I will learn how to budget. I will learn whatever I need to do that thing. But if you ask me to do math in my head right now, probably not going to be able to do it. I'm never going to be better at math, but I'm going to create systems and processes and learnings that allow me to be able to still work in that area and not feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. Because that's very dangerous for an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
You're not good at math and your finance guy's like, yeah, we're good, spend money, you're good. And you don't know, that can be bad for you because you need to at least have accountability in all the areas in which you hiring. Somebody's like, oh, I don't need to do that part. Really? I think you do need to be a part of it, right? You need to know who's coming into your company. You need to train the person that's hiring them, right? About what you want from a culture standpoint. All those things are important. And I think a lot of young people get into a very niche target. I'm going to do logistics and supply chain. Cool. Do you understand the business you're supplying, right? Like, where is it going? Where's it coming from? Those things are really important, I think, to anyone starting any business anywhere.
Great. Well, most of the universities around the world, they provide knowledge, academic contents to the students. But based on your experience in the business world, what are the most important skills needed to have in the professional environment to be a successful leader?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it ultimately depends on what professional industry you're in. So if you're a doctor, academics, very important. Please study, be very academic. It's okay if you're not personable, just be a very good doctor, right? But in industries like ours, what I work in food, right? It's all relational, it's people. And so when it comes to food, someone has to grow it, package it, source it, prepare it, sell it, all those things, those are people. That food cannot just grow and then feed you. It's got to go through different people. And so I think interpersonal skills, the ability to effectively communicate to everyone, for me, Hisho is not international, right? We're not in other countries. But I work with more people today that are from diverse backgrounds than I ever did when I worked in an international company. Because I'm really lucky and I work for a really diverse company. But some people will come in that have never worked with a diverse population and they'll struggle, right? They'll struggle to communicate or to understand or to be understood. And so learning how to communicate effectively, regardless of who you're communicating to, is really important. Time management is huge. It's huge. If you can't manage your own time, then you're always going to be an hourly person for somebody else, right? So I'm always going to have to tell you exactly what to do, exactly when to do it, exactly how. In a corporate environment, when you get to the level of working in more the corporate office, not just serving the food, you've got to be able to have projects, prioritize your time, make sure you get things done at the appropriate times. And when you have too much, asking, using those interpersonal communication skills to your boss to say, hey, I need help. Help me prioritize my what I have to do because I'm not sure which thing should come first. So I think time management, effective communication, and just interpersonal skills, I would say probably are in my top two. And then I think probably kind of a tie between conflict resolution and just creative resolution, right? Being able to think differently about things. So when problems arise, whether it's a conflict between people or a problem in your process or being able to creatively think about solutions is really, really important. And I think a really valuable asset to add. Intelligence is great, but there's not much that Google can't teach you. For me personally, I studied fitness and recreation training and fitness in college. I didn't take many Excel courses. I'm pretty good at Excel. I'm proficient in Excel today. I learned it on Google, right? Like I didn't learn that in college. So if I need a skill for my job, I'll learn it, right? The ability, I guess that would be a really good tool to have, right? Is the ability to learn. The ability to be open to learning new things, I think is really important too.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For joining us, to be part of this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.